The elevator to the 60th floor rooftop of the John Hancock Center hummed like a warning. Elena Thompson stepped out into the November wind, whipping off Lake Michigan, her silver gown catching the city lights like a blade. 200 guests, Chicago's finance elite, old money North Shore families, and a string quartet from the Symphony Center waited under heat lamps in a canopy of fairy lights. The skyline glittered, Willis Tower, the bean-shaped Trump spire, the dark ribbon of the lake beyond. 25 years ago, Mark had proposed on this very rooftop. Tonight, he planned to bury her here. Mark Thompson, 53, tanned from a business trip to Cabo, raised a crystal flute of Vouv. "To my beautiful wife," he boomed, voice carrying over the jazz riff. Cameras flashed. Elena forced the smile she'd perfected in boardrooms. Mark's mother, Vivian Price Thompson, stood beside him in a mink stole, lips curled like she'd tasted victory. When the string quartet paused, Mark produced a manila envelope instead of the sapphire necklace Elena expected. "Sweetheart," he said, loud enough for the mics hidden in the floral arrangements. 25 years is a milestone, but milestones are also endings. He slid the papers across the linen tablecloth. Divorce. Irreconcilable differences. She had until sunrise to vacate the Gold Coast penthouse. "I want someone who keeps up with my lifestyle," he added, eyes skating to the 29-year-old redhead in the emerald dress, Lila Moreau, junior VP at his private equity firm, clinging to his arm like a Rolex. Gasps rippled. Phones rose. Vivian lifted her chin, triumphant. Elena's pulse thundered, but her voice came out smooth as the lake at dawn. "May I?" She took the mic from the MC, heels clicking on teak. "Mark's right. Honesty tonight." The wind snatched her words, flung them over the railing toward the city. 3 weeks ago, I woke to whispers. Mark on the phone at 3 a.m. "She won't suspect," he told someone. I suspected. She pulled a slim leather folio from her clutch. Same clutch that once held their courthouse marriage license. Item 1. The penthouse. Mark believes it's marital property. It's not. She projected a scanned deed onto the massive LED screen behind the quartet. Gift from Mr. and Mrs. Charles Langley to Elena Langley, sole owner, 2004. 1 year before the wedding. My parents, yes, the Langleys, who seeded half the tech startups in Silicon Valley, transferred title before Mark ever slipped a ring on my finger. Premarital, untouchable. Mark's tan drained to ash. That's... Item 2, Elena cut in. Voice steel. Another slide. Bank alerts. $52,000 withdrawn in chunks. River Casino, gentlemen's clubs on Rush Street, a leased Porsche for Ms. Moreau. All from our joint account. She clicked again. Texts screenshotted in bold. "Mom, Hayes says if we humiliate her publicly, she'll sign anything." Vivian's face crumpled like wet paper. The quartet had stopped entirely. A hedge fund titan muttered, "Jesus, Thompson." Elena wasn't finished. Item 3. Surprise inheritance. A final slide. Email from a Zurich notary. Estate of Aunt Beatrice Langley. $1.8 million cash. Lincoln Park 4-flat generating $14K monthly. Aspen Chalet. Total value, $4.2 million. Received last month. Undisclosed because, well, I wanted to see how far the charade would go. Lila's champagne flute slipped, shattered on teak. Vivian clutched her pearls. Mark lunged for the mic. Elena stepped aside. "Guests, your host spent $68,000 on this party, our money, to stage a public execution. Enjoy the Wagyu. I'm done." She dropped the mic. It thudded like a gavel. Chaos erupted. Phones live-streamed. Hashtag Gold Coast Goner trended before dessert. Elena glided to the elevator, wind whipping her gown like a sail. Behind her, Mark shouted, "Elena, we can negotiate." She didn't turn. 3 weeks earlier, Gold Coast penthouse, 3:07 a.m. Elena lay rigid in the dark. Lakeshore Drive sodium glow striping the ceiling. Mark's voice drifted from the study. "Hayes, the deed's in both names, right?" A pause. "Mom saw the closing docs in '05. Another pause. "Good. Public humiliation seals it. She'll sign the waiver to save face." She'd known something was rotting since the Cabo trip. Mark returned smelling of coconut and someone else's perfume. Then the late nights, the locked phone, the sudden obsession with wellness retreats. Elena, CFO of Langley Ventures, new numbers and liars. Mark's left eye twitched when he lied, same as college. Next morning, she mirrored his phone while he showered. Texts to LM. Can't wait to wake up in that penthouse view, babe. Calendar. Call Hayes 11. She photographed everything, emailed herself, deleted the evidence. At brunch, Vivian arrived uninvited, clutching a Neiman Marcus bag. Inside was a card for Hayes & Associates. Family law. Just in case. Vivian's eyes flicked to the kitchen island where the penthouse keys lay. Such a burden maintaining all this alone. Elena smiled. Mom always said location is everything. 2 weeks later, North River Law Office. Sarah Klein, Elena's college roommate, turned partner at Kirkland & Ellis, slid a coffee across the table. Premarital gift, ironclad, but he'll claim commingled funds, renovations, taxes. Elena produced receipts, every dime traced to her trust. He redecorated the guest bath with Home Depot gift cards, hardly commingled. Sarah grinned. Gather ammo, record if legal, all check wiretap laws, and move half the joint accounts, quietly. That night, Elena transferred $1.2 million to a new Schwab account. Mark never noticed. He was too busy Venmoing Leela for consulting. 1 week earlier, the casino. Elena tailed Mark to Rivers Casino in Des Plaines. He lost $8K at blackjack, then met Leela at the high-limit lounge. She filmed from the mezzanine. Leela's hand on his thigh, his lips on his ear. Evidence. She sent it to Sarah with a single emoji. Anniversary Eve. The penthouse. Mark rehearsed in the mirror, tie askew. Friends, 25 years is noble, but nobility isn't happiness. Elena listened from the hallway, her heart a stone. She packed one suitcase, passports, aunt's will, the deed. The rest could burn. Rooftop, 10:47 p.m. The string quartet struck up at last, ironically, as Elena reached the elevator. Mark's boss, CEO of Thompson Capital, blocked his path. Clean out your desk, Mark. We don't tolerate liars. Vivian wailed, mink sliding off one shoulder. Leela, cornered by North Shore matrons, shrieked, I didn't sign up for broke, and bolted for the stairs in 6-inch Louboutins. Elena stepped into the elevator. The doors closed on Mark's pleading face. 3 months later, Cook County Courthouse. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a runner's build, banged the gavel. Penthouse confirmed premarital. Casino debts, $52,000, sole responsibility of petitioner. Aspen Chalet, Lincoln Park income property, Zurich accounts, respondent's separate property. Marriage dissolved. Mark's public defender shrugged. Mark himself looked like a man who'd aged a decade in 90 days. Outside, reporters swarmed. Elena, in a camel coat, paused on the courthouse steps. No comment, she said, but smiled for the cameras. Six months later, Lincoln Park, Fort Platte. Elena converted the top unit into Langley Literary Press. First title, a memoir by a Chicago detective's widow, sold out in pre-sales. She jogged the lakefront path at dawn, earbuds breasting Beyoncé. The penthouse, leased to a Netflix exec for $22K a month. Mark drove Uber Black in a 2012 Accord, 5-star ratings scraped together from charm and desperation. Vivian sold the North Shore estate to cover margin calls. They shared a 1-bedroom in Evanston, arguing over who forgot to buy oat milk. Leela married a Dubai-based crypto bro, posted ring selfies from a yacht. Caption, New Horizons. 1 year later, Rooftop, John Hancock Center. Elena hosted the press launch on the same rooftop. No heat lamps. June warmth, city humming below. She wore emerald, the color Leela had chosen. Toast in hand, she addressed the crowd. To second acts.